The darkest dungeon demon is talking to you right now. You want to play Darkest Dungeon because
My obsession caused this great foulness, and it is shameful that I must rely upon you to set it right.
okay, we call upon the Darkest Dungeon demons to bless us in our campaign as we embark in the Darkest Dungeon. Choose me for the next expedition, said Sydney. Sydney wants to go on this expedition, alright. Alright, Sydney, I'm gonna replace you here. Sydney is with a level 1 Vestal. A level 1 Houndmaster. And a level 1 Leper. Alright then. Don't die. Did you see Sydney? And then she, Vavassar, said she will be a soldier against corruption. Wow. I love it when this game talks to us when we play it. This is so immersive. Darkest Dungeon 2, I've heard about it. It's not getting good reviews. And I've seen the videos about it. I play on PlayStation 4 Pro. I don't know if it's coming to console, but right now I think it's in early access. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But Darkest Dungeon itself did have its quirks, no pun intended, when it first came out, and it got better as it progressed on down through the years. And I think Darkest Dungeon 2 excuse me, I think Darkest Dungeon 2 will also do well once they get the quirks out of it, because right now Darkest Dungeon 2, I guess there's no permadeath. Now that doesn't make any sense to me. That completely takes away the point of the fun of playing this game, is because in Darkest Dungeon 1, if that's what you want to call it, or just plain Darkest Dungeon. That's what I like to do. I don't like to call it Darkest Dungeon 1. That just seems weird. When we lose one of our characters, we feel a sense of loss. We feel a sense of urgency to continue playing. And we remember that loss. And even the game will even let us look at the dead characters that have fallen. Week 1. Middleton. Apprentice Flagellant collapsed permanently while clearing an obstacle. Sackerville. Week 14. Apprentice Graveyard was slain by a vile Weber. Adventure Highwayman wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Mackle. Well, that was Dismas. Mackle. Apprentice Leper wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Now, I'm going to continue reading these out of respect. Once I figure out with my PlayStation 4 controller how to scroll down, because, the tutorial doesn't really tell us. It's pretty much trial and error, and we figure it out on our own and watch YouTube videos, but I digress. Darkest Dungeon 2, from what I've seen, the YouTube videos that I've seen, and pardon me if I'm wrong, but there's no permadeath. If one of your characters dies in battle, in Darkest Dungeon 2, that happens. But then, according to the YouTube video that I watched, and I'm not going to name the YouTuber creator themselves because, that's not what this is about. According to them, and let me know if this is true in the comments, or maybe let me know if it's not true. I need to know. I want to know, because I want to know about this game. The more knowledge is power, the more I know, the better. I respect this game. I respect the genre. Is it true in Darkest Dungeon 2? There's no permadeath? And if that's the case, I don't want anything to do with it. That's what makes this game fun. Permadeath is the whole point of the whole foundation of why this game is fun. And then it spreads out. It spreads out from there. Now, also what I think I've heard Darkest Dungeon 2 is kind of like the first version of Darkest Dungeon, this one that I'm playing. Kind of like it. It's trying a new approach, which is nice. I can respect that. but I heard somebody say, and I don't know if they're exaggerating, a different creator, that we just drive around on the stagecoach 75% of the time, and there's no Hamlet? What? So, I think they tried to go in a different direction to try to make it so it's not copy and paste, but I think they should have for Darkest Dungeon 2, and I think they eventually just might, and bring stuff back into Darkest Dungeon 2 that was in Darkest Dungeon 1, that Darkest Dungeon 2 right now is lacking. And I think a lot of people are saying, hey, we understand, but we will forgive you if you want to copy and paste a few things. Take what's the good parts of Darkest Dungeon 2 and incorporate them with the first version of this, the one I'm playing here right now, the one you're watching. And by the way, Towley, the third one from the top, the Vestal. Shout out to South Park. That's very cool. Towley. Anyway, yeah, so let's continue. That's my take on this whole Darkest Dungeon 2 thing. Rock, apprentice abomination, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Bus noise, apprentice Hellion, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Week 21, Fred Plaps, adventurer Houndmaster, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Wow. Zoriat, veteran jester, met their end against a swine marcher. Zorthox, week 32, veteran flagellant, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Excuse me a moment. Take a drink of water here. Savini, how do you pronounce this? Apprentice Vestal was slain by a vile crocodilian. Zorth House Estate. He represents the Zorth House Estate. That's not his name, he's just a diplomat. Adventurer Highwayman, he bled out. Breakerton, a veteran crusader, was slain by a vile outlaw cutthroat. Wow. Week 36, week 41. Vamprise, Master Vestal, was slain by a vile manservant. Ooh. Theon, apprentice Vestal, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Doc, veteran plague doctor, of course, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Hey Doc, I wonder what your profession is. Wizard, with an O, master occultist, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Finesse, veteran Vestal, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Breaker Houseman, a diplomat from the House Breaker. Veteran bounty hunter, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Fossard, adventurer leper, was slain by a vile chevalier. Reynold, veteran crusader, was slain by a vile chevalier, but Reynold, I think, got resurrected. Third spot, Master Vestal, bled out. Talzor, apprentice Houndmaster, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Griffin, apprentice Plague Doctor, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood in week 52. 1 whole year into the campaign. Year 2, week 1. Seeker, man-at-arms, had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress. Year 2, week 3. Apprentice Musketeer, wasted away from Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. Bonus. Kind of like a bonus, but somebody with a lisp. Seeker Hellion had a heart attack due to unsustainable stress in week 57. Aubert, Seeker, Antiquarian, wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood. And one of the last people to die was week 58 was veteran flagellant, who flagellated and wasted away from the Crimson Curse for lack of the blood, okay? Those are the ones that have died. Now, I don't know if Darkest Dungeon 2 has that. If it doesn't, then maybe it should. Darkest Dungeon 2, I think, has a long way to go. Right now, it still has things I think it needs to improve on, let's just say. Even though I haven't played it, I've just watched the videos on this platform, and That's all I can say, you know. And I mean, no disrespect. I think the Darkest Dungeon 2 is a great attempt at making a good game, but they just need to fine-tune it, that's all. And I think they will. I think they will, just like they did with this Darkest Dungeon, okay? Have a good day. Let the demon come out of you and play Darkest Dungeon. You know you want to play it. You know you want to buy it. If you haven't already, you know you want to buy it. Let that demon come out of you and play Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, yeah. Darkest Dungeon. Yeah, yeah. Darkest Dungeon!